problems and the role of the entities and the solution offered. Engineer Azza Fahmy, CEO for Azza Fahmy, a company for jewellery. Sherif Lokman, Bank of Alexandria. The moderator will be Mr. Alaa Hashim, ECES. Please, I invite them to the podium to start the session. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We are going to start the second session. Here we are going to talk about the problems and the roles of the entities to provide solutions. Actually, there are two sessions combined in one. So, first of all, we are going to listen to the presentation of the participants, and then after this, we are going to take the interventions and the comments in the second part of the session. In this session, now we have Dr. Heba Handoussa, the Executive Manager of El-Nidaa Initiative, and Engineer Azza Fahmy, the famous Engineer Azza Fahmy, the CEO of Azza Fahmy Company for Jewellery, and Mr. Sherif Lokman, SMEs Manager, Bank of Alexandria. We are going to talk about the problems and about the Egypt. So we are showing in this session that Handicraft has the ability to compete internationally. Why we don't have 200 Azza Fahmy? Why we only have one Azza Fahmy? So I'm going to give the floor to the participants, and then we are going to hold a dialogue, and after this the interventions. So I'm going to start with Engineer Azza Fahmy, because actually she is committed to another meeting and she's going to leave after her speech. Please, the floor is yours. I would like to thank Dr. Abla for her invitation, and I don't know what to speak about. The period of time that I worked in the field of jewellery, I would like to tell you what is the lesson learned. My name is Azza Fahmy. I'm graduated from the Faculty of Fine Art in Cairo University. I am specialized in the traditional jewellery. I have a very important book that was issued by the AUC, registering the most important jewels in the 100 years. It's a technical and an art research. I am the founder and the chairwoman of the company, and I'm also the chief designer, and I am the founder of Azza Fahmy brand. We have a school for designing, and this is considered one of the most important achievements that we did in our lifetimes. We established a school for a designing school on a very high level. The school, as if you're traveling to Europe, the name of the school is Azza Fahmy Design Schools. We established this school 6 years ago after I felt the need of the market to the designers. Without the designers, no Articrafts. We have the Association of Azza Fahmy that started last week, the first school for training the artisans in the field of jewellery. This program is 3 years. The artisans will be on a high level, so the creator and the designer will be of a very high quality. I gained lots of experience in this field because I started from scratch. I didn't have any capital. I started my career with 3 Egyptian pounds. And I found that the best thing to do is to work as an artisan in Khan el-Khalili under the supervision of the professional artisans. And that what happened, I was trained for 2 years in a workshop. Actually, I was trained in a very traditional way. I was doing the jewelry exactly the same like the ancient Egyptian. So I felt the need of hiring my level. The British government gave me a scholarship, and I traveled to Great Britain in order to attend this training course. I understand after this what is the meaning of a good education. For this reason, I'm telling you that good education will have a good, will provide good artisan as well as a good training center in order to level up your levels. I passed through all the difficulties and the obstacles that you can imagine. I didn't have any businessman. I didn't have any mechanism. Only a workshop with Azza Fahmy, with me, with 1 worker, and then 2 workers, and then 3 workers. I learned a lot, but this taught me, and my friends, they gave me support. Now we have a factory, we have a company in the 6th of October city. We have 250 employees. We have a business plan. We have a very clear structure. We have a strong team work for sales and marketing, quality control, accountants. It's a company that can compete internationally, and that what make us have the ability to be organized, to have employees to train the employees, to have a complete structure. So I'm telling you that we need this system. It needs a complete team. If we are talking about the traditional handicrafts and we're talking about the training, I will tell you the experience of my whole life. If we don't have a strong design for the product, if we don't have qualified and professional engineers and artisans, nothing will be on a high level. Yes, there will be something, but we will be always on an average quality. The good and the strong design, it is the important start for this system and for this operation. And the respectable technical training is very important, and this is considered to be the main pillar for the high-level qualified artisan. Unfortunately, most of the youth, they are attracted to university and factories and faculties. They wanted to be engineers, they wanted to be doctors. They are not dreaming of being an artisan. And even the parents, they are thinking that they would like their children to be a teacher, an engineer, a doctor, and not an artisan. Unfortunately, being an artisan is not up to the level. And thank God that the state now knew what is the negative impact of this, not only on the Articraft department, but in the industry as a whole. There is now a kind of focus on the technical and the vocational training, and we wish that this efforts will be successful. If I would like to talk about the traditional Articrafts, there are some problems that we face. The most important problem is that there is no registration. So if we want references, to go back to these references, unfortunately there is no references at all. You will not be able to improve without references. Artisans, they don't get training, so they are still stand as they are. Or we can say that the training is not up to the level to say that this training is good enough to reach a high level of quality. The good and the strong design is not very well supported, and it is not very well focused on. There are lots of trials, but we still have a long road, a long way to go, because actually competition is very high in the international market. Asia and Africa, they are doing an excellent work. They are in the international exhibitions and the international fairs. Lots of countries, they focused on this point, and actually exporting the handicrafts products is considered to be a good part of the national income. As we said, there are some trial with a hope, but as we said, it's still a long way to go to be competitive. Unfortunately, we are not into the competition at all. This is a very important word, and we should underline this word like 100 lines. I wish all the good luck to the people working in this department, but there are lots of things that has to be done. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Engineer Azza. I want to remind you that the sector of the handicraft sector, and we have more than 2 million artisans, and the majority are women, and also the ability of this sector in the empowerment. So we have a competitive point of view in the design, but as we said, we need to complete the whole elements in order to be competitive. And in addition to this sector, it doesn't need lots of investment. So this is a perfect sector for the economic empowerment. So if we look at this sector, as the majority of the people working in this department, they are for women, especially in Upper Egypt, the marginalized areas in Upper Egypt. And here we have a very good experience from Dr. Heba. You have a very good experience from the United Nations, and it's been a while that you are focusing in Upper Egypt how to occur the balance in Upper Egypt. We would like to hear to your experience. Please, the floor is yours. I would like to thank Dr. Abdel Abdelatif for inviting me. I would like to introduce to you some of the trials that we did in Upper Egypt, especially in Qina Governorate, but also in Sohag and in Luxor, and the lesson learned in we started in the year 2012 as an initiative or as a project under the supervision of UNDP, and from the year 2016 we were able to establish the association of ECES, or the initiative of El-Nidaa. So now we are in the 8th year. The most important lesson learned is to study all the abilities in an economic style, covering the three parts that we were talking about, the artisans, the designers, and the traders or the market. And we discovered from among all the studies that we conducted in the monumental industrial handicrafts that the heritage and the culture in all the respectable countries, they did lots of achievements according to the circumstances of the country. Unfortunately, I am an industrial economy, and if we are talking frankly and honestly, I worked 14 years in the Ministry of Industry. The 4 ministers that I worked with, no one approved to focus on what is called a workshop, and all the work of the ARTISAN is workshops. And if we looked at the books that which is the description of Egypt, or Description de l'Égypte, about the complete description for each handicrafts, but it is held in centers, and the artisans, they work together, and the management and the way of work, there's a kind of harmony in the system and in the way of working, with the intervention from the state, that there is a trend or a strategy for the big industry and for the public sector, what happened is a total neglection for training, beg your pardon, for the circumstances that should be and the problems, the different problems. I'm going to start talking about what are the most important obstacles in the sector that we call it the formal sector for training. I mean here the technical schools, the technical industrial schools. As we heard, we have more than 200 ARTICrafts, and this ARTICrafts is supposed to be there, supposed to exist in the schools. We went as a coordinated group of economists and technicians to Upper Egypt, and we have our center in Kenya. We have more than 30 people working full-time, and here also in Doki in Cairo we have about 30 employees. We studied the market, and we studied and we visited all the technical industrial schools. There are about 23 technical industrial schools. We found that the situation is very, very bad. Not only there is no accreditation. Up till now, I don't think that there is an accredited diploma or accredited certificate. So why a young man or a young lady, especially the youth, especially the young men, that they have the desire to work abroad? So what's his situation? We have the useful examples in Egypt, and we wrote about this for many, many years, that we have to replicate this. The students graduated from the Don Bosco, which is a technical industrial school under the supervision of the Italian embassy. So once you are graduated from Don Bosco, you on the spot got the visa to travel to Italy. Why we don't have such schools like Don Bosco? In other occupations, different kind of metals, textiles, ready-made clothes, iron, metal, and even I paid a visit to the Ministry of Education, and I had a meeting with the minister. So he is preparing what he is preparing from the different schools in order to encourage the fresh graduates from the technical schools to go and apply in Qatar. In the ministry, no one knows about the opportunities and about the obstacles, unfortunately. Now we have a trend to export to China. China are very good in doing mass production, using machines, not in the handicrafts. So when I export to China, I'm exporting handmade products. In China, the artisan, they are not artisans. They are employees that they work on a machine, that they are paid $31 a day. So I am a competitive, but give them a good product, a very high level designed product. The quality control is correct, and for sure they are going to buy, and they are going to buy in a huge amount. So the effort which is required is the effort or the role of the state that we didn't see it up to now. When we say, for example, Musad Omran, Mr. Musad Omran, or Mr. Hisham El-Gazzar, the associations that they are managing, how old it is. If we look at China or Japan, all these countries that we wish to be like them, the associations and the chambers and the councils are established since the 40s. They focus on the heritage articrafts. So the first lesson that we learned is there is no that people are not attracted to the technical education or the vocational education, and actually those who didn't get high grades in the preparatory school, they joined the technical or the vocational school in Egypt. So this is very important. So also we would like also to focus on the content of the technical or the vocational center. Let's talk about, for example, ready-made clothes. From among the products that I would like to export are the ready-made clothes with the needlework, the handmade needlework. The first thing that we visited 23 schools, and we took this and we've visited this department, as we said, 3 years. The school is 3 years. And we conducted a test or an exam with the assistance and the support of the MC, Industrial Modernization Center, with the partnership of Trade Tax, which is they came and they conducted the exam for all the teachers. There were 80 teachers. In order to make sure of their professionalism, they only accept 20%. This means that we have to review all these items. We spent about £1.5 million Egyptian pounds in order to train the trainers in their spare time during summer vacation and during the reliefs day. They reached to 80%. Now they are the one training. They conduct the training. They have spare time and they are responsible for the training. Now we opened the first ready-made clothes factory, and we are working on launching the second one. But we have a convey of ladies, of the beneficiaries, that we taught him the suit, how to sew the cloth. And when we say that the women are better than the men in this field, no, the men, they are actually dominating most of the Articrafts, not only in Egypt but in all over the world. It's as we say, all the wooden Articrafts in Dumyata Governorate. Most of those working in this sector, they are from men. If you ask it in Italy, in the wooden Articrafts, do you have women? They will tell you no. We don't have women, they are always men. But actually here in Egypt, it happened in Upper Egypt. Those working in the sector of the wooden Articraft, like arabesque, like the wooden decorations, the arquette, etc., the shells, the mother of pearl. And we introduced a new system because we always complain in Egypt that we are not able to conduct the dual system education, which is to be trained in the center of the governmental center, and at the same time he will gain a practical experience from the company or from the factory. Unfortunately, we don't have this in Upper Egypt, so we focused on the best artisan in Egypt. He was responsible for training the students, and we have some of them that they live in Upper Egypt for like 3 or 4 years ago, especially for the difficult Articrafts, either from copper, from wood, from and the new products. So the lesson is that we have to learn from the other countries. We adopted the model of, for each continent, an Articraft. We have about 26 an Articraft for each town and for each village, because this is a very important lesson, because you are creating the cluster. We have 150 or 210 clusters. we had only 4 Articrafts in Kenya, and this is also another lesson from all the successful Asian countries that you do a kind of bringing down the Articrafts from the north to the south according to the labor intensity. So as much as we can. You can see the chief of the Articraft that is responsible for training in the mother of pearls, for example. He will tell you tomorrow you're going to come to this small village in Upper Egypt to train the people. Because we have to expand, we have to scale up. We have to expand in the places where we have intensity in the labor work. The most important lesson is the role of the women. We in Upper Egypt, in the governorate of Kenya, is very similar in culture, in the climate. The most important problem was in the villages. In agriculture areas, it's forbidden to build anything, so we can't find a place to work in, and we were kicked out from the schools. Once the minister is changed, they will kick us out. Who told you to take this place? We were about to build a workshop in a school. There is in the desert like 5 dams. They were about to give us 1,000 meters, and they didn't give it to us. So there are lots of problems, and the main reason for these problems is the state, is that the government is not convinced with the micro industries. Thank you.
Mr. Sherif is going to tackle the funding dimension. You have mentioned in the opening speech how we can assist the sector through funding mechanisms, how we can increase funds, and how we can introduce new funding mechanisms to the small enterprises, because you are specialized in this field. Of course, beside those who are present and the panelists, I don't have enough expertise, but at the beginning I want to thank Dr. Alaa for the invitation and for being among these panelists, great panelists. And I would like to thank all the speakers, because for me it's the first time to attend such event. Or a similar event, because you focus on how to develop the sector and how to correct mistakes, and the great presentation of Osama, from which I learned a lot. So I'm so glad and proud to be here. I'm always positive and optimist, and I see that we have the start already. We have the industry, we have people, but we need to develop a plan and to be on the right track to achieve results. So at the beginning, we have to identify the starting point, and I think that we are going to have this starting point because we have the passion. And based on my expertise in the Alexandria Bank, I know that we have good people, good potentials, and here I would like to divide the crafts market into 2 categories. Institutional work, like, for example, Madam Azza, Mrs. Azza, those who work within an institutional framework, and another category or another segment who do not have, those who do not have an institutional framework. So we cannot deal with both categories with the same method. Those who are institutionalized have a cash flow, have production processes, and they have so many other things. So it's easy to deal with them. It's easy to refer the work to banks and so on. What about the other segment? And though this segment is in need of support.
ناس كثيره جدا اتكلمت على
So many people talked about the design, about the quality control,
ناس كثيره جدا اتكلمت على
about benchmarks and how to have such products. This is a long way to cover or to cut, and I think the Alexandria Bank, the Bank of Alexandria, has covered this. We are not only trying to fund, but we try to develop as well, develop this industry and these crafts, especially for those small enterprises, small artisans in Komombo, Itfo, Asyut, Utik, and other places.
ازاي يبقى عندهم مثلا ديزاين شفنا منتجات تحفه.
Those who do not have system, so we started to have samples from their products to assume our social responsibilities, and we exhibited their products in our fairs and exhibitions, and we tried to develop their products by providing them with designs, and Ms. Tonia has mentioned this, that development does not have to do with finding a different thing, but I have to use the same ideas but to tailor them according to the needs of the customers. For example, with respect to pottery products, we asked for small mugs for espresso. I want to tell you that people accepted this with open hearts. And it's the same industry, the same product, but we told them that this is the thing that's going to be sold. And we started to help them with the packaging, how to pack the product. To sell your product, not all the people are going to accept it to be wrapped in yellow papers. We want them to be packed professionally, and we started to assist in that and give them the appropriate skills. With respect to funding mechanisms, we are one of the biggest banks who work on the microfinance enterprises, and we have more than 170,000 customers, and by the end of the year we are going to exceed 200,000 customers. We're not giving them the money and that's it. We give them the money and we try to follow up with the implementation of the project, and we train the parties to the project, and I try to conduct partnerships with the stakeholders to assume the social responsibility, so that it's not only a loan or a grant, but we train people, and I'm talking about entities and big entities. Some of them are institutions that are commercial institutions, or partners like us, but in other fields like telecommunications, FMGs, and we partner with them and bring institutions like Businessmen Association in Asyut, Tamkin, and so on and so forth, and we conduct partnerships with so many parties and stakeholders and bring the small investors, train them and fund them so that they establish their project. And we have so many examples for projects that grow. We have examples. Thank you so much, Mr. Sherif. We're going to get from you final conclusion. I know, Ms. Azza, that you have a meeting, so I'm going to take your comment and you can leave if you want. Two questions I want to ask.
أول حاجة أنا بالنسبة لي دايما ببص على أي صناعة ببص على التنافسية بتاعتها. أنا بالنسبة لي هي عملية تصدير. اللي بيعرف يصدر يقدر ينافس محلي، اللي يعرف ينافس بره يعرف ينافس جوه، والعكس مش صحيح. أنا ببقى شاطر هنا، بس هو التنافسية الحقيقية هي إن أنا أطلع في أسواق مفتوحة، برضه مش أسواق مثلا إن أنا من خلال والله تريد أجريمنت مخلي المنافس بتاعي ما يعرفش يشتغل، لا أنا أطلع سوق مفتوح زي الصيني زي الهندي زي الأمريكاني زي الفرنساوي، وأقدر أروح هناك وأحط رجلي يعني. فطبعا انا دايما ببص على الامثله الناجحه. الاسهل لما بنيجي نتكلم على السياسه، طب ما نيجي نشوف ايه الموديل الناجح ونحاول نفهم هو نجح ليه ونقدر ندعمه ازاي، عن ما نحاول ان احنا نشتغل من ناحيه ثانيه نقول طب تعالى بقى نشتغل بول دي اوشن زي ما بيقولوا، ونحاول نعمل كل حاجه صح. فانا بالنسبه لي انا عزة فهمي كبراند عرف يطلع بره مع كل الصعوبات despite the obstacles، مع وجود الصعوبات الموجودة كلنا عارفينها.
faced of course lots of challenges and it
مية عزة
succeeds.
فهمي تاني النهارده
So
تنصحي
how
ايه
we can
النهارده
another
حد عنده تالنت زي ما حضرتك بدأتي عندك تالنت ما عندكيش بزنس اكسبيرينس ما عندكيش اكسبيرينس في برودكشن ما عندكيش الكلام ده كله، ازاي النهارده اقدر ادي يونج انتربرينور حد ديزاينر شاطر ونقدر ازاي يبقى عندنا انذر عزة فهمي. الحاجه الثانيه احب جدا حضرتك تعملي هايلايت بارتيكولرلي على ما هو الدافع. انا عرفت حضرتك عندك ان جي او دلوقتي بتساعد في عمليه التدريب وعمليه الديزاين، ففي ديزاين سكول اللي انا فاهمه وفي فوكيشن تريننج سكول، فمدرسه تصميم ومدرسه تدريب فني. ايه اللي يدفع حضرتك انك تعملي هذا الكلام؟ ان جي او يعني حضرتك المفروض تربحيش منها، ايه اللي يخليك تعملي حاجه زي كده؟ السؤالين دول احب اسمع من حضرتك.
establish an NGO despite that you are not getting any profit. I
طبعا
want to tell you that of course to prove yourself you mentioned that we compete
اهم مكان في العالم
in most important markets. To set yourself as a brand, this needs lots of work.
وكون ان انت توصل في الاخر انك
to achieve by the
اهم محلات في اوروبا
being one of
ومعناها ان انت قبلت
the components of the most important commercial shops in Europe. This is something not easy,
بيحتاج
and this needs of course
ان انت
millions of things to study the market, to improve quality,
يبقى عندك ستوري تقولها
to have a story to tell, because people now need story and a real story. So I can find myself in a street in London, but I can set a target to be in the best place in Europe. This is a target to work on. The second thing, you mentioned or you asked me why I have a school. Because I have suffered a lot from the lack of education, and to get the education I suffered a lot, and I found that there are so many examples like me in the jewelry field. So I decided to establish a school. So people ask me why you have a competitors. No, I'm not having competitors. I'm improving the market. I'm going to have pioneers. And that's why we did establish the design school. And then I found out that there is a problem with the training, because we have now Indian workers. And I said to myself, no, we have unemployment, so why we import employees, workers? So we started to establish the vocational training organization or institution. We are not going to reinvent the wheel.
عاملة تجربة كل واحد في مجاله يدرس التجربة الآسيوية عشان يعرف طلعوا ازاي على السكيل ده ولا السكيل ده
to know what was their scale. You find that something's very cheap, something with 4 EGPs and one with another thing with 1000 EGP. You select what you want. Study the Asian experience and see how they succeeded. Thank you so much.
شكرا جزيلا للمهندسه عزه، وان شاء الله هيبقى لينا تاني جلسات تانيه ان احنا محتاجين نشتغل مع حضرتك على الموضوع ده بعمق اكتر. دكتوره هبه، انا برضو فيري بارتيكولرلي انا عايز حضرتك مركزه كده برضه حضرتك بتقولي احنا عندنا دلوقتي الناس ان احنا بنعملهم سبورت بدأوا يقدروا يصدروا.
Now you have said that you are supporting people to export the product.
نفس المناخ اللي فيه تحديات بتاعت كلنا فاهمينها، ولكن عندنا البعض بيعرف
يتميز. So we have some challenges, but despite these challenges, some of the people can excel their work and succeed. So we want to know those who succeed, how they succeed, so that we can disseminate these successful models and how to alleviate the obstacles and problems. One of the lessons learned is that we try to see to what extent we can have automation, and this is one of the secrets of India and Asia and so on. Not because I have a craft, I don't have to have any equipment or automatic machines to use in the crafts. Whether they are metals, any other crafts or materials, there are some steps in which we can use automated machines. The ARCAT, for example, this machine that cuts materials, this manual and automatic. Some work, instead of taking 1 week, it can take only 3 days if we use an automatic machine. And these are things used in India and other countries. How to get to know the appropriate equipment and machines. The second thing, you have to control the fact that all the products have to be with the same quality. We have youth engineers who supervise the processes. We are now having great numbers from those who work in all the villages and all the places, and we have to introduce incentives so that when the artisans are well skilled and qualified, we pay them incentives according to the product they produce. This is important so that they do not think that they have like an eternal life job. It's about the quality of the products they have. With respect to accessibility to markets, we have designers in Cairo. It's difficult to have designers in Upper Egypt. That's why we try to train the graduates of south of Wadi University and some youth, but not to they are not that clever like the graduates of course of the faculties of arts in Cairo or in Alexandria. So this is important, how to study markets. We started exportation for like 5 years for the British Museum, the biggest museum. It takes jewellery, it takes copper, lamps, and all the work of the women. We have to know how much women are in need of support and protection in Upper Egypt. Upper Egypt forms 1/3 of the Egyptian population, and it suffers from unemployment. And we found out that all those who were trained, when they started to be evaluated, no one used to work to have a previous work. So we created job opportunities for them, especially for women, and we have saved them, rescued them from poverty. Boys do not work because they have other opportunities. They can travel, they can come to Cairo, they can stay in informal settlements. Like the CAPMAS chairman like we told the CAPMAS chairman, and he got upset from us. But we work closely with the Qina governor and with all the directorates. Any of the 11 ministries, directorates, we deal with them at the bottom of the pyramid. This makes a big difference, and the lessons learned from China and from other countries, from other Asian countries, the decentralization is very important because governors can take decisions with the heads of the centers, and we have 9 centers in Qina. We are in more than 70 villages. So this gives the feeling of ownership to the artisans, that these products belong to them. So we are in the direct of not only having them as entrepreneurs, but having them as productive cooperatives, and this is what they want. Because they still lack capacity to reach out to the bank. We have just
شكرا دكتورة هبة.
آخر
تعقيب هاخده من أستاذ شريف. أنا عاجبني طبعا إن حضرتك بتتكلم على إن يعني ما شاء الله بتتكلم على 170,000 أو 200,000 متعامل ما بين الشركات متناهية الصغر والشركات الحرفية، والفكرة حضرتك بتتكلم عليها الفكرة بتاعت إنكم بتعملوا برنامج متكامل. هو عنصر تمويلي وجزء، بس هو في
including the funding. You
أو
have a
توجه
general
متكامل.
approach, an integrated approach.
على فكره
أنا سؤالين لحضرتك.
Two
السؤال الأولاني
questions. The
أحب إن
first
حضرتك
question,
تشرح لنا
I want you
أكتر
to
هل دي
explain more
مبادرات شخصية، يعني أنا عايز
about
أبعد عن المبادرات
whether
الشخصية اللي البنك
there
بيعملها
are
كسي اس
personal
ار وما بين
initiatives
برنامج
like
التمويل اللي
the
حضرتك بتعمله
CSR
بالخدمات
or
المرتبطة بيه.
funding
السؤال الأولاني عايز أعرف
programs.
شكله عامل إزاي.
So what
السؤال
is the
الثاني يعني
form of
واضح إن
these
في حاجة هنا
programs?
عظيمة
The
جدا،
second
إزاي
thing or
إن
second
الناس أكتر
question,
تسمع عنها،
how we
يعني
can
إزاي
raise
نقدر إن
awareness
إحنا
on
نعمل
such
أوتريتش
programs and
أكتر.
efforts, how you
فالكلام ده كل
can
الناس
do
اللي بتتعامل مع الدكتورة
outreach
هبة تعرف،
campaigns
أو الناس اللي
to
مدام
to
عزة
know
بتعمل
about
سبورت
Dr.
ليهم
Heba,
وحضرتك يعرفوا.
about Dr. Azza,
اتفضل حضرتك.
about you.
بنتعامل مع ناس كتيره من الموجودين الجهات اللي
We
موجوده
deal with so many of the entities that are present here, and when we said
بعض الهيئات زي جمعيه رجال اعمال
like that institutions like the Businessmen Association, we deal with them or cooperate with them for the outreach, for the sake of the outreach campaigns. And when we train personnel
طبعا اطور
to develop artisans
لما بدور
and
بقلل المخاطر على البنك.
to reduce risks on the country.
عندنا فكره ان التدريب ده
We know that training, when we train
بطريقه معينه وينتج
artisans and producers, we reduce the risk because we guarantee that our money is going to get back to us. So this is something important. The programs, we have so many programs, short-term programs and longer-term programs. Each program has to do with a craft that we are targeting. And this is present in the bank, and we have examples from this. But what we focus on are the SMEs. The bigger enterprises have another system and another methodology, and we do not, and it's like a workshop, a small workshop, a small shop, a small kiosk. So we have to deal with them according to the size of their enterprise. But when we talk about SMEs, each category of these enterprises has its own standards and requirements and its own methodology of treatment. If you allow me, Dr. Amla, quickly, because I know that the time is flying, I'm so optimistic. And I know that we have products, good quality products that we could improve. And I hope that, of course, exportation is an objective, but exportation, as you have all mentioned, it's a long journey. We need outreach campaigns. It needs harmony between ministerial entities or public entities and ministers. It needs standards, but it's going to happen because it's already happening, but we need to organize it better. What matters the most is, and what we felt as citizens, is how to deliver these products to the normal citizens. I have a family. How I can make them know about these products. This is not there. We have to have fairs. We have to have exhibitions. Sometimes they are crowded, so we suffer to reach out to these products. Touch wood, annually we have an increasing numbers of tourists. So if we don't have to send your products abroad. You have the tourists who come and they pay in dollars. So now how to give them the products? How many outlets do we have in the airports to sell the handicrafts? How many outlets in the hotels to sell handicrafts? I'm as a quality control entity, for example. How can I protect my product, whatever the brand is, Egypt to Egypt, and why it cannot have a place in airports and museums to set or expose or display these handicrafts only? And with respect to standardization, automation, the value of the handicrafts is that each piece is different from the one that's beside it. And today I have this shape, tomorrow I can another shape, and those who are buying, they buy one and unique piece. This is a value in itself. I have the potential to export when I am in Egypt and send it to other countries, but how I can deliver these within the same country. I'm sorry that I'm talking too much, but those who have sandwiches, they have now the 360 street in a certain place and a place in Docky, so that they have this sandwich business. So why we cannot do similar thing for the producers of the handicrafts to have a certain place in Cairo to display and exhibit their products? And I know that this fair, for example, is going to be for 4 days, and I can go and target it to buy whatever I need. And they are still lacking packaging skills, but why we can have another vendor for packaging so that we buy the product and then give it to the vendor to
جزيلا
make the
أستاذ
packaging.
شريف.
Thank you
أنا هشكر
so
حضراتكم
much,
جدا،
Mr.
واحنا هنأجرن
Sherif. I would
الجزء
like to
الأولاني
thank
من
you so
البانل،
much for
وهيبقى
the
عندنا مجموعة
speeches, and we are going to
شكراً
have
جزيلاً.
another session to tackle further challenges and obstacles. Thank you so much.